My name is Whitney Walsh. I'm 32 years old. 3 days ago, I woke up from surgery to 14 missed calls. Not from family. From my neighbor. And when I called her back, she told me something that rewrote my entire life in one sentence. My parents left your kids alone. Not for minutes. 4 hours. My 5-year-old daughter. My 7-year-old son. Sitting on a porch. Waiting. While I was unconscious on an operating table. And the two people I trusted the most had already driven away. But to understand why that moment mattered, you have to understand something about me. I'm the one everyone calls. Not because I'm the closest. Because I'm the most reliable. Need a ride at 6 a.m.? Call Whitney. Need someone to organize a family event? Whitney will handle it. Need someone to drop everything and fix your problem? Whitney. But here's the part no one talks about. Nobody calls me when things go right. Nobody shows up when it matters to me. I learned that early. So I adapted. I stopped asking. Stopped expecting. Stopped needing. Because needing people was the fastest way to feel invisible. So I built a system. Schedules. Plans. Lists. Control. That's how you survive. When no one shows up for you. And for years, it worked. Until last Tuesday. Because that day, I needed something simple. 4 hours. That's it. Not money. Not support. Just time. I had surgery scheduled. Gallbladder removal. Routine. 2 hours in. 2 hours out. I arranged everything. Time off work. Overnight bags for the kids. Emergency contacts. Schedules. Everything. All I needed was for my parents to watch my kids. 4 hours. I called my mother 5 days before. Mom, I need surgery Tuesday. Can you and Dad watch Oliver and Sophie from 6:30 to noon? She didn't hesitate. Of course she didn't. Of course, sweetheart. Bring them early. We'll make pancakes. That's how she always says yes. Confident. Warm. Convincing. And completely unreliable. But I ignored that part. Because this time, it mattered. Tuesday morning. 6:45 a.m. I pull into their driveway. Same house I grew up in. Same porch. Same door. Nothing had changed. Except me. My dad opens the door. Bathrobe. Neutral expression. Morning, Whit. He takes Oliver's backpack. No questions. No emotion. Just routine. Inside. My mother is in the kitchen. Coffee ready. Pan heating. Like everything is under control. She hugs me carefully. Takes the folder from my hand. The folder. I didn't know it then. But that folder would become everything. Inside it. Schedules. Allergies. Emergency contacts. Every detail needed to keep my kids safe. Because I don't leave things to chance. Not with my children. Don't worry about anything, she says. We've got this. I kneel down. Sophie is holding onto my leg. Tight. Too tight. Like she knows something I don't. Mommy will be back before dinner, I whisper. She doesn't answer. Just looks at me. Big brown eyes. Quiet. I should have listened to that silence. But I didn't. Because I trusted them. That was my mistake. I drive to the hospital. 20 minutes. Same route I've driven for years. But this time, I'm the patient, not the nurse. Pre-op is cold, bright, clinical. A nurse I recognize starts my 4. Efficient, professional, comforting. I text Marcus. Going in. Kids are with mom and dad. 3 dots. Then. Love you. That was my last moment of certainty. The anesthesiologist speaks. Explains everything. I nod. But I'm not really listening. Because my mind is somewhere else. Back at that house. With my kids. Safe. Or at least. That's what I believed. Count back from 10, he says. I look at the ceiling. 4 water stains. 10. 9. 8. My last thought before everything goes dark. They're safe. They're with my parents. 4 hours later, I woke up. And learned exactly what that promise was worth. I didn't wake up all at once. It never happens like that. First. Sound. A monitor beeping. Someone coughing somewhere nearby. Then light. Too bright. Too sharp. Like it's forcing you back into the world. And then. Pain. Deep. Heavy. Like something inside you had been moved. And hadn't settled yet. I turned my head slowly. The clock on the wall read. 2:47 p.m. 4 hours. Exactly what they told me. Everything had gone according to plan. Except. Something felt wrong. I didn't know what yet. But I felt it. Like a quiet alarm going off somewhere in the back of my mind. Then I saw my phone. Right where I left it. Screen dark. Still. I reached for it. My hands felt heavy. Slow. Like they didn't fully belong to me yet. I tapped the screen. And everything changed. 14 missed calls. Same name. Over. And over. And over again. Margaret Doyle. My neighbor. I stared at it. Not confused. Because people don't call 14 times. Unless something is wrong. Very wrong. 3 voicemails. 6 messages. I didn't even try to listen. My hands were shaking too much. I opened the texts instead. First one. 12:18 p.m. Whitney, honey, your kids are at my house. Your parents left. Call me when you can. I stopped breathing. Second message. 12:34 p.m. Whitney, please call me. Oliver is upset. Third. 1:15 p.m. I'm getting worried. The kids are safe, but I don't know what's going on. The room tilted. Not from anesthesia. From something else. Something worse. I pressed the call button. It rang once. She picked up immediately. Oh, thank God. Her voice was steady. But tight. Controlled concern. Mrs. Doyle, what happened? There was a pause. Not hesitation. Carefulness. Your parents left around 11:30, she said. They got in the car and drove away. My grip tightened. They left? I repeated. I thought maybe they were running an errand, she continued. But then I saw your kids. Another pause. Sitting on the porch. My chest tightened. Sophie was crying, she added quietly. And Oliver had his arm around her. I closed my eyes. Because I could see it. Perfectly. Oliver trying to be strong. Sophie confused. Scared. Waiting. How long? I asked. I don't know, she said. But when I got there, your father had already been gone. Gone. Just like that. They said they'd be back in an hour, she added. That was over 3 hours ago. 3 hours. My children. Alone. On a porch. While I was unconscious. Are they okay? I asked. They're safe, she said quickly. They're with me. Oliver made Sophie a sandwich. That broke something inside me. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But permanently. Because he's 7. 7. He shouldn't be taking care of anyone. He should be taken care of. Thank you, I whispered. I mean it. I know you do, she said softly. Take your time. They're safe here. I hung up. And immediately, I called my mother. She answered on the 3rd ring. Of course she did. Hi, sweetheart, she said. Bright. Normal. Like nothing had happened. How did it go? I didn't answer that. Where are my children? Silence. Just for a second. But I heard it. That pause. I've heard it my entire life. The sound of her thinking. Calculating. Oh. Mrs. Doyle called you? That was her answer. Not concern. Not explanation. Recognition. Where are my children? I repeated. Whitney, calm down, she said. Your father took Amber too. I cut her off. Where are my children? They were napping, she said quickly. And Amber had a last-minute appointment. They were not napping, I said. They were on the porch. Sophie was crying. Another pause. Shorter this time. Recalibrating. Well, Mrs. Doyle was right there, she said. She's perfectly responsible. That's when it happened. Not anger. Not yelling. Something colder. Clearer. Why did you leave? I asked. And then. She said it. 7 words. 7 words that rewrote everything. Your sister needed us more. I didn't speak. Because I thought maybe. Just maybe. She would realize what she said. She didn't. She had a hair appointment, my mother added. Like that explained it. Like that justified it. Like that made it okay. I looked at the ceiling. 4 water stains. Same as before. But everything felt different now. Because I understood something. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't forgetfulness. This wasn't bad timing. This was a decision. Clear. Intentional. Chosen. She chose my sister. Over my children. Over me. Again. I'm going to say this once, I said quietly. Don't come to my house. A pause. Whitney. Don't call my children. Now you're being. I hung up. Before she could finish. Because I didn't need to hear it. Not anymore. I placed my phone face down on the bed. Just like she had that morning. And for the first time in my life. I didn't try to fix it. I didn't explain. I didn't justify. I didn't make it easier for her. I just stopped. Because something had shifted. Not outside. Inside. A line had been crossed. And once you see it clearly, you can't unsee it. I lay there in that hospital bed. Pain in my side. For still in my arm. And I did something I had never done before. I looked back. Not at one moment. At all of them. Every time they didn't show up. Every time I said it's fine. Every time I accepted less. And suddenly, it all made sense. This wasn't new. This was a pattern. And for the first time, I wasn't going to live inside it. Because now, it wasn't just about me. It was about my children. And that changed everything. I didn't leave the hospital right away. Not because I couldn't. Because I needed a moment. Not to calm down. To understand. Because what just happened wasn't new. It just finally became impossible to ignore. I lay there in that recovery bed, staring at the ceiling. 4 water stains. Same as before. But now, they meant something different. Because for the first time, I wasn't explaining my family to myself. I was seeing them clearly. And once you see something clearly, you can't pretend anymore. So I went back. Not physically. Mentally. To every moment I had buried. Every time I told myself, it's fine. Because it was never fine. I just made it survivable. When I was 10, I built a volcano for the science fair. Baking soda. Red dye. The whole thing. I won first place. Blue ribbon. I stood there, holding it in my hands, looking for them. They never came. My mother told me later. Amber had a dance recital. We'll see yours next time. There was no next time. I stopped entering. When I was 16, I got into college. Partial scholarship. Worked nights to cover the rest. I told my mom. She smiled. That's nice, sweetheart. Then, Amber got into an arts program. And just like that, my moment disappeared. Again. When I was 22, I graduated nursing school. Top of my class. They showed up late. 40 minutes. My name had already been called. Amber didn't come at all. Headache, my mother said. I have a photo from that day. Cap. Gown. 2 empty seats beside me. That's what achievement looked like in my family. Empty. When I got married, we didn't have a big wedding. Just a courthouse. Backyard barbecue. Simple. Perfect. My mother came. Complained about the heat. Left early. To take Amber to a gallery event. She gave me a card. Proud of you always. No gift. No effort. Just words. Marcus never said anything. But I saw him look at that empty card. Then look at me. And I knew. He understood. He was keeping score. Because I had stopped. And that was the problem. I stopped counting. Stopped expecting. Stopped reacting. Because it was easier. Because it hurt less. Until it didn't. Until it touched my children. Because that's where the line is. Not when it hurts you. When it starts hurting them. I remembered Oliver's school play. First time on stage. 12 lines. He practiced every night. Mirror. Wooden spoon as a microphone. He asked one thing. Is Grandma coming? I said yes. Because she said yes. She always says yes. 6:15 that evening? Text message. Sorry, sweetheart, Amber needs a ride. Oliver looked into the audience 3 times. Searching. I smiled every time he looked at me. Big. Steady. So he wouldn't feel it. But I did. And I buried it. Again. Sophie's 5th birthday. My mother came. Brought Amber. Amber stayed on her phone the entire time. Didn't bring a gift. My mom brought one present. From Grandma and Aunt Amber. I said nothing. Cut the cake. Smiled. Cleaned up after. Like always. Because that's what I do. I handle things. I absorb things. I fix things. But this time, there was nothing to fix. Because this time, it wasn't just disappointment. It was danger. My children. Alone. Unprotected. Because someone else was more important. Again. But this time, I didn't make it smaller. I didn't justify it. I didn't say, that's just how they are. Because that sentence is how patterns survive. And I was done keeping it alive. They discharged me at 5 p.m. Rest, they said. No lifting. Take it easy. I nodded. Did none of those things. I drove home myself. I wasn't supposed to. Didn't matter. Because there was no one else to call. I pulled into my driveway. 5:28 p.m. Mrs. Doyle was already outside. Waiting. Holding my kids' hands. Like they were something fragile. Something important. Something worth protecting. Sophie saw me first. She ran. Straight into me. I gasped. Pain shot through my side. I didn't let go. I couldn't. Oliver walked up slowly. Careful. Mom, are you okay? I'm okay, I said. Then he added quietly. I held Sophie's hand the whole time. That broke me. Not visibly. Not loudly. But completely. Because he shouldn't have had to. He's 7. I knelt down. Pain didn't matter. Nothing mattered except this moment. You did so good, I whispered. So good. Mrs. Doyle stood back. She didn't interrupt. Didn't step in. She knew this wasn't her moment. But before she left, she said something. Quiet. Simple. Those are good kids, Whitney. Then she paused. And you're a good mother. That stayed with me. Because it was the first time all day. Someone said something true. Inside. Everything looked the same. But it wasn't. Because now, I saw it clearly. The table. The chairs. The life I had built. And the people I had trusted. One of those things was no longer safe. That night, I sat at the kitchen table. The manila folder in front of me. Same one I had handed my mother that morning. The one that was supposed to protect my kids. The one she ignored. I opened it. Took out the papers. Schedules. Emergency contacts. Everything I had carefully prepared. All useless. Because the wrong people had them. I picked up a pen. Blank space inside the folder. And for the first time, I didn't write instructions for others. I wrote decisions for myself. Change the locks. Update school pickup list. Change the will. Power of attorney. Medical directive. Insurance beneficiaries. 6 steps. 6 boundaries. 6 ways to protect my children. No emotion. No drama. Just action. Because protection doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be real. I looked at the list. Then at the house around me. Then at my kids. Laughing in the next room. And for the first time in my life, I didn't think about keeping the peace. I thought about keeping them safe. And that made the decision easy. The next morning, I didn't feel emotional. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel anything. Just clear. And clarity is dangerous. Because once you have it, you stop negotiating with things that hurt you. I woke up at 6 a.m. Same as always. Routine didn't change. But everything else had. The kids were still asleep. The house was quiet. Peaceful. And for the first time, that peace didn't feel temporary. It felt protected. I made coffee. Sat at the kitchen table. Looked at the list I wrote the night before. 6 steps. No hesitation. No second guessing. Just execution. First call. The locksmith. Today, I said. No delays. Second call. The school. Remove my parents from the pickup list. The woman on the phone paused. Are you sure? Yes. No explanation. No justification. Because protection doesn't require permission. Third call. My lawyer. Not Howard. Someone else. Independent. Objective. I need to update everything, I said. Will. Power of attorney. Emergency contacts. All of it. She didn't ask why. She didn't need to. Because people who do this work recognize tone. And my tone said everything. By noon, everything had started moving. Not finished. But in motion. And motion matters. Because it means you're no longer stuck. At 2:15 p.m. the doorbell rang. Of course it did. Because patterns don't disappear overnight. They test you. One more time. I walked to the door. Slow. Calm. Not nervous. Not hesitant. Just ready. I opened it. My mother stood there. Holding a bag. Smiling. Like nothing had happened. Like yesterday didn't exist. Hi, sweetheart, she said. I brought soup. Of course she did. Because this is what she does. She replaces accountability with gestures. She avoids the problem by acting like it never happened. I didn't move. Didn't step aside. Didn't invite her in. Whitney, I know you're upset. I held up my hand. Not aggressively. Just enough. No. She blinked. Confused. Because this part she wasn't used to. I'm not upset, I said. I'm done. That landed differently. Because anger she knows how to handle. Distance? She doesn't. You're overreacting, she said quickly. It wasn't like that. I looked at her. Really looked at her. For the first time without filtering. Without explaining. Without protecting her feelings. You left my children alone. Simple. Clear. Undeniable. They were fine, she said. Mrs. Doyle was there. They were alone. Her mouth opened. Closed. Then. Well, Amber needed. No. That word stopped everything. Because it wasn't loud. It wasn't emotional. It was final. She needed you, my mother continued. Like she could still win this. Like this was still a discussion. You always understand these things. There it was. The expectation. The pattern. The role I've played my entire life. The one who understands. The one who adjusts. The one who makes it easier for everyone else. Except herself. Not anymore. I did, I said. For a long time. I stepped forward slightly. Not aggressive. Just present. But I don't anymore. Silence. Heavy. Real. Because now. There was nothing left to soften it. I updated everything this morning, I continued. School. Legal documents. Emergency contacts. You're not on any of them. Her face changed. Not dramatically. But enough. Because now. This wasn't emotional. This was real. You can't do that, she said. I already did. She took a step forward. Whitney, I'm your mother. And for the first time in my life. That sentence didn't mean anything. Because being a mother isn't a title. It's a responsibility. And she failed it. You were, I said quietly. The word hung there. Past tense. Final. Irreversible. Her eyes filled. Not with guilt. With loss. Because now. She understood. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't something she could fix later. This was over. You're really doing this, she whispered. I nodded. Yes. Behind me. I heard footsteps. Small. Light. Sophie. She walked into the hallway. Stopped beside me. Looked up. Mom, who is it? I placed my hand gently on her shoulder. It's okay, I said. Then I looked back at my mother. And made the final decision. Go home. No anger. No yelling. Just truth. She stood there for a second longer. Like she was waiting for something. For me to change my mind. To soften. To go back to who I used to be. I didn't. Because that version of me doesn't exist anymore. She turned. Slowly. Walked down the path. Still holding the bag of soup. Still not understanding. That this wasn't about yesterday. It was about everything. I closed the door. Locked it. And that sound? That click. Was louder than anything I had ever said. Because it meant something. It meant the pattern ended. Not gradually. Not emotionally. Completely. I turned around. Sophie was still there. Oliver behind her. Watching. Waiting. Are we okay? He asked. I knelt down. Careful of the pain. But steady. We're more than okay, I said. And for the first time. I meant it. Because safety isn't about who stays. It's about who you're willing to let go. And I had finally learned the difference.